start. Good afternoon. Now switching to English, as we have some people who do not understand Portuguese, and I don't speak so well English, but I'll try to pass the session. I want to try to present our speakers today because they are so rich in their curriculum. You have a summary on the sheets available, so you can consult that, and they will present themselves. This is the first session of our reading club for 2025, and it's a great pleasure for us to have an intercultural session. As Nickdale was saying during, and I have to say that, you already missed so much. The lunch, and we went lunch together. Yes, I should. Probably next time the reading club won't be there. Here we will be at Inege and at restaurants, because the lunch is the best moment with with everybody. So it's always a great lunch, and special today the lunch was especially interesting. So that's the reason I cannot present them, because they are so complex on the good sense and rich on the knowledge they share. Nicola was saying that we Portuguese and Persian culture have so much more in common than what we know about it, and this session will be also about that. Just one note, and I'll try to say that correctly. Setare is, I hope this is correct. They both speak Portuguese because they are in Porto for a long time. Setare is for 7 years, Nito already for 15 years. It's almost Portuguese from Porto. And he's in love with the city of Porto. I can understand that easily. Setare is a psychologist and works around psychology, using the master degree obtained at the Faculty of Psychology of the University of Porto. So Setare is at home. We are at the University of Porto, and Setare will start presenting a view of Iran, and then pass over to Nickdale, that will give us a view of literature of the Persian writers. I'm sure we are going to enjoy. I'm not trying to moderate them. I'm not the moderator of the session. They will be on themselves. And you see, it's not possible to moderate Nickdale. It's too fast.
I'm not so bad as you say.
No, you have an energy, a good energy that never stops, and it speaks very fast and always so interesting. So I'm not trying to moderate them. I just point the time is about to end and trying to shut them at the right moment to be able to have some questions from you after their presentations. So please, the session is yours.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us.
Hi everyone, it's really a pleasure to be here today talking about Iran, which I can imagine that maybe lots of you even don't know. Where is it on the map? What happens there? As you know, every culture and every country, I don't know, maybe people back there, they're not seeing me very well. I can also stand up if that's
You can stand.
Please stand up. Yeah? Okay. That's easy. And I can have this on my hand. Okay. So as you know, every culture, every country, it's very rich in history, in natural beauties, now literature that we're going to talk about it. So what we're going to share with you today is just a hint of the depth that you can find in literature or the history or even the culture of Iran itself. And before starting, I just want to tell you about my name, which is Setare. And usually the names in Iran, they have some meaning, and most of them they are connected to some things in nature. So my name, it means star. I usually tell people that if it's difficult for them to pronounce it, you can just call me Star or Estrela in Portuguese. So be comfortable with that. Okay, so we're going to just have a very short view about the culture and history of Iran, very little about it. So maybe lots of you didn't know Iran as Persian, or like the Persian, how to say, empire, I think, you know?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the name changed almost 200 years ago. Before it used to be called as Persia, but then one of the kings, he decided to change it to Iran because of some historic writings that this part of the world used to call Iran. So he decided to go back in history and then call it Iran again. But just to make that clear from the beginning that both is the same, Persia and Iran are the same, the language is Iranian or Persian also is the same. So just to show you where does it locate on the map. So Iran is this cat, as you can see, it is like a sitting cat. Can you find it? Yeah? Okay, so I think I can use this, but it's okay. So these are the ears of the cat, that's the head, that's the body, it's sitting on the seat. Yes, okay. Just for you to know, somehow the size of the country is somehow 3 times bigger than Spain for European ones. Maybe that's a good thing to compare. It's located in Middle East, but it's also like a connection between Middle East and Asia. And it has the Caspian Sea on top, which is actually is not a sea because it's not connected to any ocean, but because it's so big they call it sea. And then it has 2 other seas in the bottom that it gets connected to the Indian Ocean. So this is a more closer picture of Iran and its states. It has 32 states. I usually use this connection with our teeth. We have 32 teeth. And also letters. In Persian, there are 32 letters in the language. So that goes with all the numbers. For now, it has about 83 million people living there. The highest mountain named is Damavand, which is more than 5,000
And 10 million
meters.
outside. You should count us too.
Yeah, Iranians are also spread all over the world. And the lowest part of it is -28. These are just some interesting facts maybe for everyone to know. So mostly it has lots of mountains. And because of the mountains, what happened is that the humidity of the seas, it cannot reach to the center of the country. So the center mostly is very dry and warm, which that led the people to discover ways to live in this kind of nature that is not very kind maybe to the people, but that led them to discover very interesting ways to live in this kind of place. Like the first fridges, yakhchal, was made by Iranians. Or the first tofu. People,
Nation.
thank you, nation.
Nation, country.
Sorry, there are some Portuguese words in my head. So the first nation that they discovered how to guide water to the agricultural lands, also they were Iranians. They used to call it qanat or kanate, I think, in English or Portuguese they can call it. So there are lots of interesting inventions that came out from this culture because of the nature they were living in. They had to discover ways to tolerate it. So these huge mountains that we see here makes that the north of the country is very green. It's most closer to Portugal and Porto weather, but then the center will be very dry. That also is interesting, that affects on the culture and the way people live. Like they're very brave, they're very strong, because they learn how to live in a very hard nature. Here we will just go very behind in time, so many thousand years ago, when all the lands were connected. So this is just to know that why it calls Asia or Laurasia that they used to call it. One parts of this land, it gets separated and then it created Asia. But Iran in that time, so many years ago, was just a huge sea. So now in the mountains you can see the stones are the stones that you usually find at the bottom of the seas. How to call Rusubi, if anyone knows how to call Sange Rusubi. Kala. This type of stone that it's layered by layer, and it has lots of fossil also in the middle of it. So this is something that when you go to the mountains in Iran, most of the places you just find fossil out of nowhere it will come out. This just to show the history of it and the nature that where does it come from. So this is the Amavand, the highest mountain that exists now in Iran. It used to be an active volcano. Now it's been so many years that it's sleeping. We hope that it's not going to wake up because it's close to Tehran and it's going to create a disaster in the capital, but it has a very beautiful nature around it. And because it's super high, it has snow around it, but then at the bottom it's green and beautiful as you see like this. I'm just giving you really fast hints that if you're interested to know more, then you have some keywords to search more about them. These are some other kind of mountains. This is the Zagros mountains. They are also beautiful. These are some very specific mountains, special mountains in the northeast is in Tabriz. They call Aladaq. And the stone, the soil, it has lots of iron in it, and it reacts with the air and creates this kind of colors you see. There are also same kind of mountains in the south of the country, in Qish. They call them rainbow mountains. And interestingly, the sand, the soil of these mountains, the people of Qish, they use it as spice in their food, and it gives color to the food. Now very shortly, really just to show some parts of the nature. This is a jungle, they call it the forest, they call it the cloud forest because it has high mountains and then down it goes very down. The clouds come and then they go and stuck in the middle of two mountains and then it creates this beautiful scenes that seems like you're floating in the clouds. This is in the north of Iran. And shortly about the wildlife, there are some animals that sadly some of them already extinct, like the Iranian lion or the tiger also, I think. But still, we have the panther, very few of them, they're alive. They're trying to preserve them. And also bears, black brown bears, they're very cute. This kind of birds also. Okay, jumping to the desert now. In the middle of the country, as I was telling you, close to the province of Yazd and Kerman, there are very big lands that it's mostly desert. Some of them it's not super hot, so still there are some plants or some animals living there. But there are some parts that I'm going to also show you some pictures from there that it's super hot that nothing can live there, not even bacteria, nothing exists there. But we're going to reach there also. So just to show you some beautiful pictures from the desert. And usually there are lots of groups that they go there at night to observe the night sky in the desert and look at the sky and the stars. So if you're interested in visiting in Iran, that should be, I think, one of the places to visit. It's really beautiful to see. So some years ago, there was some rain that is very rare happening in the desert part. And then it created these beautiful scenes, but that's very rare to happen. And then in desert, there are some animals also living just there. This kind of cat, they call it sand cat, is a species that they just live in this kind of desert place. And there are also, these are the things that I thought interesting to share. This is a snake that it has some horns on top. For me, this like a dragon or this characters. Okay, so this is the part I wanted to show you, that it's super hot. It gets over 70 degrees or maybe 80 degrees. And they used to call it cooked wheat. Because the caravans, while they were passing through this part, they suddenly heard the sound of something popping, and they realized that the wheat was cooking. It was so hot that just passing by there, the wheat they had was cooking. And that happens because of these stones. They are volcanic stones, dark, and they absorb the heat. And so it became one of the hottest places on Earth. But then interestingly, almost 100 kilometers away from this place, which is one of the hottest places on Earth, there's a village in the middle of the mountain that it snows, and people go there for skiing. Then we have Badabsut. For people who went to Turkey or visited, what was the place? There's a place also in Turkey, very Pamukkale, that is very similar to this. This is much smaller than Pamukkale, but it's also beautiful. It creates these paddles of water. And then, in the end, the island of Tesh, which it has beautiful sand, colorful sand. The sand I was telling you that they also use it as spice in the food, it happens there. And once in a year, there's a festival that they create art on the sand with the colorful sand that you can find on the island. It has sand that is, it glows at night. It's dark, and at night it's glowing. It's like silvery color, and very nice colors. And there's also a valley of stars, which I found it interesting, beautiful to share. And also there's a forest. We call it Hara forest, which are trees that they grow in salt water. They absorb the salt water, they make it sweet, they give back the salt, and they use the sweet water to grow. And when the water is lower, you see this kind of things, and it's huge. The place is very big like this. I heard in Brazil also there's something similar to this place. Okay. This is a map of the different ethnicities in Iran. So each ethnicity, they have different language. Like if they're speaking, I'm not gonna understand them, maybe just few words, I can guess what does it mean. Lots of things in culture might differ in different ethnicities, but they all live as Iranians together in one place. And they share lots of similarities for sure, but like the food is different, the way they marry is different, the way they treat the body when a person dies is different, and also the language is different, as I was saying. Okay, moving now to the literature. This picture can show you the line of the literature, Iranian literature, that when did it start, and then what are the different types that they emerged during years. But then later Nikdel is going to tell us much more about the literature and depth and different poets.
Especially if you look to this, I don't have any picture, it's good to remember this part of Persepolis, this alphabet very small in the stone. I will talk about that later, and this Pahlavi also.
The evolution of the language also. Okay, and these are some of the known, not just poets, but writers, because there are some of them that they just wrote poets that it has this kind of rhythm that we call it mostly like a poem that we know, but there are some that they also wrote literature as like stories. I'm going to share with you about one of them, and then later Nikdel is also going to share with you more about some other few. I'm going to share about Ferdowsi, which is from the province that I came from, and I find it very, very deep, very interesting to share the way that how he created this book that we call the Shahnameh, which literal translation can be the book of the kings. So when the Muslims, when they came to Iran, the language changed mostly to Arabic language, and Persian language was spoken very less. And it was somehow being lost between the Arabic words that came. Also, as later Nikhil is going to tell you, the writing way of the Persian old language, it disappears, and nowadays we're using the Arabic letters, but which form more with 4 more letters, because there are some sounds in the Arabic language they don't have it, so Iranians they had to add it to the alphabet. But then what Ferdowsi did, he worked 30 years on this book. He said that I worked 30 years on this book to give life again to Persian language. So this book, it has very few Arabic words in it, and it tells the stories of 50 kings of Iran. It has lots of, not everything that he says it happens exactly the way that he's saying, because it has lots of, I'm missing the word.
Metaphor?
Metaphoric language, thank you so much. Yes, it has lots of metaphoric and symbolic language in it, which in one of the stories I'm going to tell you, then I will also give you a very short explanation that what was the history thing, maybe that it was happening, that he put it into the language of poems. Okay, so as I was telling you, it preserved the Persian language, and then later it influenced lots of other poets and writers, like Goethe or Victor Hugo, that interestingly Nikhil was sharing with us the other day, that what Goethe says about the Persian languages and literature, I'm going to just paraphrasing you, that literature was like a bird that it was searching for a nest, and it searched everywhere, and it found its nest in Persian language. So he really admires also the literature. And in 2009, it was the 1000th anniversary of Shahnameh, and it's celebrated in UNESCO. So it's also registered as a cultural heritage. So this is Ferdowsi. He passed away and also born in Tus, which is in a city named Ferdos in the province of Khorasan, for those who would like to visit later. So on his tomb, it's written also some of the poems he wrote. It came out from this art, from Shahnameh, it came out another type of arts also, which is reading Shahnameh. It has an interesting rhythm. It's because they are epic poems, and it has this doom, doom, doom rhythm like this. And lots of people at that time, they couldn't read, so there were some people that they could read, and they memorized these poems, and they used to tell these stories to people as like a theater show. And it has 2 different types. One, it was in noble gatherings, which they were seated and they were listening to the story. One, it was more for normal people, and it was in cafes, and we call it naqali, or storytelling on the hose. Hose, it was a place that it has to have water in it in the middle of the house. They put something on top of it, and naqal, who was a storyteller, used to stand on top of it and tell the story to people. And they used to use this kind of images also, that it had lots of things related to the story they were telling, and they used to point at the characters when they enter to the story. And sometimes there was also a live music accompanying the story, which is mostly a percussion instrument. It's called tombak, and it gives more doom, doom, doom rhythm to the story. The heroes are entering the room and all. Okay, and these are other arts that came out from it, which is like painting art and calligraphy.
Yeah, true.
This is Rostam, one of the characters. I'm gonna tell you a bit also about him. So now I'm going to tell you one of the stories. We're going to have lots of stories. This story is about Zahak. Zahak was a king. I will shorten the story. I will cut the part that what happened as Zahak enters in Iran, and I will just enter to the place that he was a king, and the devil was trying to enter to the kingdom and try to manipulate his thinking, and also through him try to manipulate the people. So then the devil, one day he appeared as a young chef, and he said that I can cook amazing foods for you. He said that Zahak said, okay, for sure, and then he started cooking food for Zahak. For a long time he was cooking food for Zahak, and Zahak loved the food till he gained the trust of Zahak. So then one day, after having a beautiful table full of amazing food for Zahak, Zahak was so pleased with him, and he said that, oh, I love what you're doing so much that I will give you whatever you ask me. Just ask me what you want. And devil was waiting for this moment. So he said that the only thing I want from you is to give just 2 kisses on your shoulders. And the king was like, yeah, for sure, go ahead. So the devil, he gave 2 kisses on the shoulder of Zahak, and then suddenly he disappeared. And from the places of the kisses, 2 snakes grew up, as you see them in the picture. And whatever they did to remove these snakes, they cut them, they tried to kill them, but nothing could remove them from the shoulders of the king. So he was very worried about his life, that what he's going to do now, and no one knew what to do. None of the doctors, none of the very wise people of the country, they didn't know. And now again the devil appears in a face of a very wise person, and he said that I have the remedy for this perigo, for this danger that you have on your shoulders. And he said that you have to feed them the
brain of youth
of 2 young men every day, so then they will be calm. So Zahak sent that to happen. They captured 2 youth, and then every day they had to do that, because if not, they were going to kill the king, or maybe eat him, or he didn't know what was going to happen, but he was very scared. But then the people in the kitchen, because they also had youth, they didn't want their youth to be killed, so every day they used to save one of the youth and then mix the brain of a sheep with the brain of another youth. So like this they could save lots of lives like that. But then that was stretching a lot, and people were not really happy with that, what was happening there. So then what they did, they gathered finally, and seemed like that was registered as like one of the first revolutions in history that happened. So they gathered together with the help of a blacksmith. His name was Kaveh. He became like the leader. He used his apron, blacksmith apron, as a flag, as you can see here. And that became the symbol of this revelation, that they really didn't want Zahak to be the king anymore. And they invited Fereydun to be the king. So this group of people, they went to the kingdom and they tried to take Zahak, and Fereydun become the king. And they didn't kill Zahak actually, but I think they couldn't kill him. But what did they do? They took Zahak to Damavand, the highest mountain, and they just put him in prison in the cave in Damavand. And that's the cave that he was being imprisoned, and he stays there. But a short explanation that why the youth was being killed, and it's like youth are the energy of the country, and the way they're thinking brings innovative ways of looking through things. So what devil in this story, which it can be any kind of thing we can think, it can be a dictatorship, it can be manipulating in any kind of that we can imagine, was trying to, it shows that when we influence the brain of the youth, we can manipulate the whole people. But then thank God there are always some people that they can stop these things happening. I think I'm gonna stop here. I wanted to introduce you Rostam also, but if I'm gonna prolong it more, we can't hear.
Continue, say about Rostam, it's good to say. It's the most important figure of Shahnameh.
Yeah,
Tell a little
right,
bit, maybe.
right. Okay, then Rossam. Rossam is, the character is very similar to Hercules, if you know about the European literature more. So very shortly, his father was Zal, which he was white. How to call this?
Albino.
Albino, yes. So because he was albino, his parents left him in the mountains, and the phoenix saved him, and phoenix was like his parents, and he was born. He grew up with phoenix. So then Rossam is the main character with his horse. The name is Rakhsh, and Rakhsh had the mixture of red and white color. And through the story, you see that Rakhsh also is a very smart horse, and he's always helping and supporting Rossam in the battles that he's having, which I'm going to just show you some of the battles that he has. It has, the name of these stories is 7 Labors of Rossam, that he goes through 7 steps or levels, like the story. Also, I think Hercules has something similar to that happening. So yeah, and we see that through the story so many times it's Rakhsh who is saving Rossam, and Rossam does so many things because he wants to save Rakhsh, or someone stole Rakhsh and he's going there to save Rakhsh. So they have a very intimate connection, these two together. I'm not going to name them, but there are 7 different labors that Rossam goes through till the end that he can save the king. So there's a story about Rossam and his son, which his name was Sohrab, as you can see here. So Rossam married with Rudabe, and but they were just together one night. So the day after, Rossam had to leave, and he gives one bracelet to Rudabe, and he said that if our child is a boy, put it on his arm so I can recognize it. If it's a girl, put it on her hair. And then he left. He never knew that what was a child, who was the child. And Sohrab, when he grew up, he was also very strong, very wise child. And when he realized that Rossam was his father, he said, I have to go and find my father, and together we have to be the kings of these 2 big kingdoms, because they were in different kingdoms. So he started this journey going finding Rossam, but he didn't even know how Rossam looks like. And the kings of 2 these kingdoms, they used this opportunity to somehow get rid of these 2 big heroes, because they were very worried about them. So what they did, they give an army to Rossam to go and fight Sohrab, and a big army to Sohrab to go and fight Rossam, without telling them that who's actually they're going to fight. So there's a scene that they're together in the same place, but they still don't know that who's the father, who's the son. And they start fighting. And the story goes on that how the fight is happening. There are some places that seem like Sohrab is winning, there are some places that Rossam is winning, but in the end, Rossam kind of kills Sohrab. Not kind of, he kills Sohrab. But in the moment that Sohrab is in Rossam's hand, I get really emotional. When I tell this story, because mom was like, oh my god, that's so sad, why he didn't realize. So in the moment that Sohrab is in Rossam's hand, he sees the bracelet. And he realized, oh my god, you were my son, I killed you. And then he sent for help to find the syrups for something that it can save his life, but they didn't want to save Sohrab. So it reaches the medicine arrives when Sohrab died. Yeah, this is one of the most beautiful and strong stories that is there in Shahnameh. Okay, I'll pass it to Nita.
It was wonderful introduction. I really enjoyed. Thank you so much first. Muito obrigado por o convite, muito obrigado por organizar initiative. It's almost impossible to talk about such a huge books in 30 minutes, and I have 30 minutes. I have to try to speak everything. And it's good you talk about Ferdowsi. We have a giant poet like Omar Khayyam, like Hafez, like Rumi, like Sa'di, especially also we didn't talk about him today. And we have a lot of ladies from 1,000 years ago, like Rabi'a Balkhi, which was poet from 1,200 years ago, 1,100 years ago, in time of Rudaki. And after we have a Mahasti Ganjavi until contemporary, we have a Furuq Farrukhzad and other, which I'm sure all Iranian, they know this name very well. And Iranian, they are people of the poetry. Poetry is in our life. You can't find any Iranian, I'm sure all of you sitting here and all of your family who don't have some poetry remembrance from his heart. And we have tradition in New Year, in the Yalda night, which is the longest night of the year, which we are fortune reading for future. We open the book of Hafez. Every Iranian do that. I don't know, nobody don't do that. Who is religious, who is not religious, doesn't matter. We open Hafez when we have a question and we receive our answer. We do believe we receive our answer. And I will explain why. So first I will give an introduction about Persian language. Persian language, lingua persa, è una lingua indo-europeo. And after that they have a different group. As you know, it's a Latin language between Portuguese, Italian, French, Slavic language, Russian, Polish, this kind of Germanic language, Nordic, German, English, Norwegian, this language. And then you come Indo-Iranian branch of language, which Iranian Persian language is one of these lingua. I will say some keyword, very interesting. You follow it to language. I can compare a little bit. For example, father, how you say in Portuguese, padre, pai, certo, pai. In Persian, pedar. Pedar y padre è una palabra. In Germany, they have also different accents from Österreich, Autriche until Hamburg. They say Futter. In Russian, pai, papa. Papa and father and pedar is one word. If it was a black word, I could show in linguistic how they change. Mother. Mother is very key word in Indo-European language. In the Portuguese is mai. In Persian is madar. Madar, mother. In German, mutter, mama is one language. Unbelievable is one language. Brother. How you say in the German? Who knows German? Beruter, depend of the accent. In Russian, brat. And in Persian, baradar. Baradar and brother is one word. Daughter. How you say in the German? Tochter. In the Dutch, Dochter. In Persian, exactly the same pronunciation as Dutch, Dochter. And I can say 100 of keyword. And imagine in the European nation, they live together, they separate. We are separated more than 5,000 years, perhaps in this case. And some keyword is still very similar. It's quite interesting. And the travel of this language is also quite interesting. We have also more examples. I have thousands of examples to say about sister, about other keywords. They are really, it's showing how in the European, etc. Said about alphabet. Persian alphabet is not Arabian alphabet. Arab never had alphabet. When they came out of the desert, when they had Islam, when they attacked to other neighbor nations, they had no alphabet. Quran was memorizing, it was not written. It was written in the Osman, third caliph period. They create alphabet, Kufi alphabet, then they change. In this alphabet, what we are using, we adopted after Islam. Persian language have a three part. The last oldest part, which in Persepolis is called Khat Mikhi. You are familiar, you know that. And the Khat Mikhi is the old Persian literature. It's from Persian Empire, Cyrus the Great, Darius, this period we are talking. Then we have middle, it is this one. It is the this one, what you are seeing, it is the this alphabet old, and this what you are seeing is a Pahlavi alphabet. It look like very like nowadays Armenian alphabet, look like very like Georgian alphabet in the Tiflis. And it is a Middle Persian alphabet which Avesta, holy book of the Zoroastrianism, is written with this literature. Also, this alphabet was changed few times. We have a Khat Davire, which was used to write in Avesta. We have is a very, I can read this, I study Pahlavi alphabet, and it's a quite interesting alphabet, but he had his problem also. After Islam, when Arab invasion was, we lost our independence, as you did in Portugal later, as other neighbors they did. But for example, in Egypt, they lost their language. They became Arabs. Agora, em Egito, eles não falam língua egípcia antiga. Existe algum coptis antigos, mas ninguém fala essa língua. Eles árabes já falam língua árabe. Perderam língua, perderam identity. Perderam identidade. E nós quase fomos muito perto. We were so close to lose our language. Almost Arabs they win. We have in our text 2 times we were close to lose or win. One time Alexander the Great, Alexander Macedonian, when he attacked Persia. We have the text in the after this period. In palace and in literature in Iran they were talking Greek. We have theater was going on in Greek language. Coin of the Ashkanian, Seleucus and others, Seleucus of course, and even Ashkanian, they have a Greek elements in these things. And in this time also in Arab invasion period, we start to losing our language. And Ferdowsi, this big poet, he talked about him, he 30 years he worked, 30 yeyears is a lot. 30 anos trabalhou para escrever este livro magnífico que é o maior epic book in the world. What she said about this tragedy is a magnificent tragedy. Father killed his son. She say very simple and shortly she tried to explain about Ferdowsi. Of course, all of these painting we don't know how they look like. They paint them later. They are not them, but we think they were like that. We have no idea. Ferdowsi, which he was a very Persianized person, he saved our language. 30 anos trabalhou, escreveu 60,000 verses. He tried to not use any Arabian word. He has some Arabian word. E eu digo que a influência na língua portuguesa, língua árabe, muito mais que a influência na língua persa. Por exemplo, eu falei com você dorme na almofada, é árabe. Você come atum, e come azeite, cozinha e vive em marvão, vai para algar, albufeira, É tudo língua árabe puro. Nós não temos nenhuma palavra que começa com Allah. Nenhuma, graças a Ferdowsi. Graças a este homem, nós não temos. Não salvou nossa identidade. Sabe? E foi 30 anos, é muito famoso que ele esquecia comer, ele esquecia dormir, ele esquecia viver, tipo. E sempre ficava pobre, como sempre poetas e artistas, e esperava dinheiro do rei que vai chegar. E quando sempre chegava dinheiro, rapidinho comia e bebia, como poetas fazem usualmente. E ficava outra vez sem dinheiro. Mas este homem, we are very out to him. We really have all our culture come from this big man Ferdowsi. I will also go a little bit talking about Omar Khayyam, and also I will talk a little bit about Hafez, and then I go to Rumi. Rumi is most famous in Europe, and he deserves some more attention. Omar Khayyam, he born in the 12th century. Omar Khayyam, in his time, he was not famous as a poet. He was famous as a big mathematician, a big astrologer, and also we had some concept in old time, agora impossível, because knowledge was very limited, pessoa podia saber tudo sobre medicina. Porque a medicina foi 3 livros, 4 livros, 5 livros. E uma pessoa podia saber tudo sobre astrologia, também saber tudo sobre filosofia. Nós chamamos Hakim. We say in Persian, Hakim Omar Khayyam. Hakim Abul Qasim Ferdowsi. Hakim, it means quem já sabe tudo que existe, ciência neste tempo. E claro, estamos a falar sobre 1000 anos atrás, 1000 e tal anos atrás. Eu falei hoje, Ferdowsi é mais ou menos, para português, para saber, é Dom Afonso Henrique. Tipo 1000 anos, este tempo exatamente, do tempo do Dom Afonso Henrique. 1000 e tal, não é? Português, é 1000 e pouco, exatamente. E este tempo estamos a falar. And when also we are talking about the places, we should not talk about borders nowadays. Rumi, what it means Rumi? It means from the Rome. Because after Roman Empire collapse, it was Eastern Roman Empire, which in Europe you call it Byzantine Empire. But they never called themselves Byzance. They called themselves Roman Empire. They called simply, you can see document, they called themselves Roman Empire. And more funny, Ottoman Empire, Imperiul Ottomanu, Turkish, que foram depois, they call themselves Roman Empire also. Much later than Rumi. They call themselves Roman Empire. They see themselves as continuation of Roman Empire. So it's very interesting, this name of this man is, complete name of Rumi is Jalaluddin Muhammad Balkhi Rumi. Balkh, it means from the Balkh. Where is the Balkh now? It's in Afghanistan right now. So he born, no, we are using this word Afghanistan. Afghanistan didn't exist. Turkey didn't exist. Turkey didn't arrive yet to Anatolia. Some part of Anatolia in his time was Turk, maybe 10%. More than 70% of Anatolia, where is Turkey, no, it was Greek speakers. They were Greek cities, where he lived with Greek people, he lived with Christian people. They're still living there, until end of First World War. They lived there. And this gentleman, he born in the Balkh, then before Mughal invasion. Mughal invasion, European, they heard about Chinggis Khan, Mughal invasion, then they conquer everything. But it's very simple part of his story for European. For us, it was a fire in our house. It's burned down everything what we built for centuries. Not Arab, they could do that with us, not as Alexander the Great could do this with us. Mongol, they didn't came to rule. They came to rob and destroy. They had no people to stay in the city to rule. So goal was, you go there, you take everything what you can, then you should kill, you should not leave nothing beyond back. You should go forward. And this invasion was really destroyed our culture. It had a strong wound in all our poetry, even mysticism and Sufism, which I will talk about Sufism today a little bit as we have time a little bit. Sufism is a reaction of Persians to Mughal attack. This attack was very horror. You know what you see about Vikings? It was like that, plus 10 times worse, 100 of times worse. They burn our library, they burn every paper they find. You know, any things they find, they burn or kill and destroy. So his family, they moved from where is Afghanistan, they passed Iran and they came where is Turkey right now. So that's why we call him Rumi. Well, how was his life? He was the most important Ayatollah in nowadays, we said. He was a very big priest, he was a very big Sharia law teacher. He was a faqih, as they said. And of course, he was aware of Sufism. You are familiar with Sufism, mystical. You have also in Christianity about Sufism. I will talk a little bit. And this, he met a man, his name is Shams of Tabriz, Shams Tabrizi. And this man changed the life of Rumi. He asked him few questions, and these questions, they are very deep questions. And he was shocked of these few questions. And he had 4,000 students following him. So he lived all of the religions, he lived everything. He stayed with this man as his sheikh, as his master. And he started be with him alone in the room for a few months sometimes. They bring food, they are in a spiritual movement. We don't know what was between them. Many things they are saying. It was a love, definitely, not necessarily physical love, but it was a spiritual love, really. He find a master who wake him up. He told him, everything you're studying, Bible, Quran, is nothing. They are just a face of the religious. Religions also have meaning, which is not in this face. That's why Ayatollahs, they hate him. Because he don't believe to texts of Bible or Quran or this thing. They are believing to meaning of that. And very interesting, he changed his life and he started doing sama. Sama you saw in Turkey. They have a white clothes, they are dancing in circle. You saw all of you exactly with white clothes and they are dancing. So he started every day until end of his life. He had an orchestra. Imagine Pop doing that, Papa do Roma. Deixe tudo, deixar tudo, só dançar, poesia e acredite que esta maneira vai sentir verdadeiro amor de Deus. Verdadeiro amor de Deus. Não é no livro, não é no Corão, não é neste texto. Verdadeira maneira é amor, amor puro. And what he means and what we want to say is with love you gain everything. And this love, you will not have this love until you have your ego, nafs. Nafs in Persian, it means ego. He said in everything we have an ego. We have an ego. We take it serious about everything. And you can't be in love until you have ego. So until you don't forget this ego, you can't have real love to God and to universe, because you are the God. In Sufism, humanly are God. You are, each of us, we are God. So we are not aware of that, and we can be in love with myself, and I can be in love with you, because ego is here. This ego should be deleted. And what they were doing, they had different practice. One of his practice was dance. And this dance is very interesting. No, what you see is more touristic thing, since Turkey is for tourists. But it's very more deep than what we think. They really left themselves. And hours, horas dançaram assim. É muito interessante when we read about that. And a student of Rumi, he had thousands of followers. They hate this master, new master, who was dervish, and he was a wandering man, like a hippie. They had no life. Now they go to one city, they play music, they sing, they dance, they have a spiritual trouble. Eles têm uma viagem espiritual. E depois aqui vai encontrar consigo, depois desaparece. Vai para Cairo. Depois fica lá, wandering, desaparece. Vai para Andalusia. Esta foi a vida do Shams of Tabriz. And his students say, who is this man? He's a poor man, he arrived from nowhere. He make our master crazy. Our master is dancing. He's not giving us anymore nothing about Sharia, about the law, about these things he was doing. And they give pressure to him, you have to leave or we kill you. And he left, he disappeared. Rumi got crazy, he started not eating, crying, not writing, nothing. He still was not poet, interesting. And he started write poetry. It's Divan Shams, he started write poetry. This poetry is full of love. You know, is a maximum example of love. His message is very universal. That's why Rumi is still very popular. We had one event in Palazzo Cristal 8 years ago, 9 years ago, about Rumi. Rumi is nothing I can explain in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Rumi's poetry is very deep, and he have a very famous poetry I read in Persian that I translate. He said, حاصل عمرم سه سخن بیش نیست. حاصل عمرم سه سخن بیش نیست. خام بودم، پخته شدم، سوختم. All my life is a true story. I was raw, I cooked, and I burned. Eu fui cru, depois ficou cozido, depois ficou queimado. E ele diz que nós temos mesmo que queimar, enfim, ficar parte do universo, acabar do este ego, passar este ego. And first 18 verses of Rumi is very beautiful. I would love to read all of this and quote, so I will read two first sentence of Masnavi of Rumi. I recommend everybody, I know you have no time to read 60,000 verses. This is eight book like that. I have to study because university we were forced to study, but I recommend everybody, you can find it in internet, first 18 sentence. Primeira 18 verses na Masnavi. Por favor, este é muito fácil, muito acessível, não tudo língua no mundo. Por favor, tentem ler isso. Chama Masnavi Rumi Masnavi. So it's first sentence. I will read 2, 3, just you. I want you to hear Persian language also, how is songs. Because língua persa é a segunda língua mais melódico na fonética, é mais melódico segunda língua. É uma mais antiga língua, claro que existe. He said, بشنو از نی چون حکایت می کند، از جدایی ها شکایت می کند، از نیستان تا مرا ببریده اند، از نفیرم مرد و زن نالیده اند. سینه خواهم شرح از فراق تا بگویم شرح درد اشتیاق. I'm sure all of you have in memory. I'm sure I see our reading. من به هر جمعیتی نالان شدم، جفت بدحالان و خوشحالان شدم. سر من از ناله من دور نیست، لیک چشم و گوش را آن نور نیست. Until the end, I will try to translate first 2-3 sentences I try to do. Listen to the flute, ney a flute. Ney is a very simple instrument which don't have nothing. It's like a bamboo and they cut it and they do al-gofurash and it's called ney. It's a very simple instrument. After the voice of human for singing, ney is more instrument which is more close, come from your inside, you are involved, you are one with this instrument. He said, listen to the flute. He want to tell you a story of separation. Separation of his origins. We separate from God. We are one with him. We separate. But flute, he means himself. Listen to the flute. He will say this story of separation. Since I was cut from my roots, in my cry, man and woman are in pain. I need a real listener to tell and express my story of my heart. It's very long to read that, and what he wants to say is about we are separated from our origin, we are separated with our origin by our ego, and when we will leave our ego, we will be pure love, we will love each other, and we will love everything what we see. Last thing I will talk about Hafiz also. Rumi was a bestseller in America, United States. You know, in 2000, a few years, his book was bestseller. Madonna sing Rumi. So I want to say, look to this poet, they are very universal. 800 years he died, Ferdowsi 1000 years he died, because message is very universal. And Persian literature have a very big effect in all literature in the world. Very famous poet you have in Portugal, Fernando Pessoa. Muito interessante, Fernando Pessoa, tanto anos atrás, conhecia muito bem Omar Khayyam, conhecia muito bem Omar Khayyam, não é direito depois da tradução do Edward Fitzgerald. Edward Fitzgerald, when he translated Omar Khayyam in 19th century, it became a bestseller in all Europe. His poetry is very short, like haiku. They call rubai. They are 4 sentences, quatrains. I will finish in 5 minutes. And it's very short, and what he means, what he is telling always. Omar Khayyam means always drink, be happy, enjoy the life, enjoy the moment. It will not repeat again. Omar Khayyam means, look, is a day and night, again day and night. It's crazy repeating day and night, day and night. É muito assustador, é vida esta aí, é uma loucura quando olhas para a situação, noite e dia, e que podemos fazer que saímos deste this circle, what we can do, in your opinion, be happy, only revenge what we can do from this life, we can do nothing, we can't stop that. it will go again day and night. What we can do is to be happy. To be happy. And wine is most important thing. He always put finger. Drink, drink, drink. It doesn't mean exactly wine, but wine bring the forgetting. Hafiz have very famous poet. He said, شرابی تلخ میخواهم که مرد افکن بود زورش که تا یک در بیاسایم ز دنیا و شر و شورش. What it means? I want a strong wine to drink it all, Tasa, to give me un momento esquecer este mundo é muito grave. Nós tentamos ignorar essa gravidade. Gravidade existe lá. They are very deep philosophers. They have a lot of things in, especially mystery. I will read one poetry of Omar Khayyam also. You will. Omar Khayyam, if he was alive, no, he was in jail in Iran. I always say, all of them, they are criminals. Ele é estudos criminosos para o governo do Irã hoje em dia, porque eles falam sobre alguma coisa que você não imagina. Omar Khayyam said, در فصل بهار اگر بطی هو سرشت یک ساغر می دهد مرا بر لب کشت هرچند به نزد آمین باشد زشت سگ به ز من دیگر برم نام بهشت. He means even if it is in the spring, very beautiful girl, give me a big tass of the wine and it will be so just one beautiful girl and big tass of the wine. I am less than any animal if I repeat name of paradise. And he said, don't believe to paradise, it is nothing after this life. We should pay attention. This poet not living in modern area. They are living 1,000 years ago in medieval. Se na Europa falaste esta palavra, que paraíso não existe. Deus que de brincadeira, they burn you, igreja com certeza queimou essa palavra. But how they could say this word? Because metaphor. When they say wine, also they means enlightenment. When they say mastro taberneiro, barman, we say Mastro Taberneiro Sagi. I am translating Hafez, it's very difficult translating in this word always. Mastro Taberneiro, Darme Tasdo Vino. Mastro Taberneiro Tarmai a master of spirituality, who is a sheikh of Sufism, you know, and wine is enlightenment. And it's very interesting, these guys, they're very clever. All their poetry you can read in two ways. You can read very sexual and you can read very spiritual and religious. It's unbelievable. شب قدری چنین عزیز و شریف تا سحر با تو خفتنم هوس است. This such a night long and dark, I would love until morning to sleep with you. It can be very religious. It means until night, until morning, I want to pray. I want to talk to God. But also it means very sexuality. So I will close my word here. Just I want to say it is so short to speak about this giant of literature. Last thing I would love to add about Hafez. Goethe is the biggest poet of Europe. Goethe is one of the biggest, if it's not biggest. Goethe have a book, it's called Western Eastern Divan. Western Divan. And in this book, he talk about Hafez. Write name of Goethe and write name of Hafez and read what Goethe say about Hafez. He said if he had a dialogue with East. Dialogue unbelievable. I could talk, but we don't have the time. But read it, please, what Goethe talk about this man. He said, if you are a poet, I'm nothing. You are the master. You drink wine of the love, real love. And he's a very famous king asked to Hafez, come Hafez, and tell me how I can fall in real love. He said, for real love, you need a real heart, which you don't have. So I finish here my word, and I would love to ask if you have any question, if you want to not know something, I would love to involve with you. Thank you for listening.
Are there any recommendations for like history books about Persia, like authors or titles?
Which part of history? Literature history, ancient history, because we have really 7,000 year history. Most famous book which is scientific for academy is famous book of Cambridge, History of Iran. It's a few volumes, most important scientists, Iranian and foreigners, because majority of our history and even history of our literature was written by foreigners. Unfortunately, in Portugal, because last 300 years was a little bit poor and not money for investing in these things, lingua persa, infelizmente, na Porto ainda não existe. In the Kiev, na Ucrânia, quando eu estudei, minha universidade, 170 anos estudaram língua persa. 170 anos, they had Persian studies. In Germany, in Göttingen University, more than 200 years. In London, they know us better than us. All of our books is originally in London, you know, I always say. But Portugal is very recent. Brazilian, they are doing a lot, you know, very good. But exists a lot about history of Iran. But I tell you, it's very wide history. We are talking about 7,000 anos. So very wide. And all part is interesting. Somebody more, something interesting? Alguma pergunta?
I was wondering if they are still read in Iran right now, all these very dear. In house of everybody, in house, I am sure all of these Iranians, they are sitting here, they have it from their hearts, Hafez or others. We are using daily this poetry. It's impossible, I talk, who know me know, it's impossible I have a normal conversation and in 10 sentences I don't use 5 sentence poetry. It's impossible, it's our language, it's our blood. Another thing, every nation, they put their power in one direction. For example, Italian painting and architecture is glorious. German philosophy is gloriously. They have Hegel, they have, you know, they have Schopenhauer, is big, and classical music, Or Persian, for historical reason, or power go to, or all our energy came to poetry. That's why Goethe said Baird was a literature and find a Persian language as his house. It is, we are a very poetic nation. I was telling these people, how you say feijão verde, que você tem, in lingua persa, in Persian language, if I translate, they call it lubia chesh bulbuli. How it means? It means eyes of a sparrow. Eyes of sparrow, little bird, you know. It's a poetic word to call feijão. Por favor.
Are there any female poets?
A lot. Actually, from beginning.
Since when?
From beginning. Interesting, one of the first poets what we have, his name is Rudaki. Rudaki is Adam of Persian poetry. Adam, primeiro homem. Adam do poesia persa. Por primeiro pessoa que temos poesia dele. Divan ele, his book is desapareceu. We have sentence in other book. We have 1,000 verses from his book. In his time, we have a very big poet. His name is Rabi'eh bint Ka'b. Rabi'eh Balkhi.
Rabi'eh is a woman.
Rabi'eh. She's a woman. She's a woman and she's a big poet. Very, very big poet, Rabi'eh. We have other, a little bit later, Mahsati Ganjavi. I have all their poetry in my memory, both of them. And recently we have a giant, Forough Farrokhzad. Forough is a big poet, internationally recognized. And this woman, they are very in front. We are really proud of them. Iranian women, they are fantastic. And now also we have a lot of filmmaker, Iranian ladies. We have a lot. Biggest lady in mathematics, mayor nome na matematica female, Maryam Mirzakhani. Maior mulher que foi na matemática mundial, se não é palavra meu, e poeta, e escritor, e coisas. E mulher do Irão podiam votar antes mulher do Suíça. Antes do, before in Switzerland, they were, it's this situation what it is last 40 years, unfortunately, after the revolution, which I hope it will solve. But our culture, no, it's very, was okay with ladies, I think. Mais alguma coisa? Muito obrigado. Agradeço imenso.